All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're cracking open one of the biggest, most mind-bending, unsolved cases in all of science and philosophy. And it's a mystery that's happening inside your head right now, your own consciousness.
I mean, really, stop and think about that for a second. It's not just that your eyes see and your brain processes light waves. There's an inner subjective experience of seeing the color red. There's a whole private movie playing in your mind, starring you. But why? Why does all that electrical and chemical activity in your brain produce a feeling at all?
So to even begin to investigate this, we have to separate the clues we have a handle on from the one central mystery that leaves us totally stumped. This is where we draw a line between the so-called easy problems and the one true hard problem of consciousness. Okay, so the philosopher David Chalmers is the one who really laid this out. Now, don't get me wrong, the easy problems are not easy at all. They're incredibly complex questions for neuroscience, but they're problems we can see a path to solving. We can imagine how we'd figure out information processing. The hard problem, though, that's a whole different ballgame. It's about the feeling itself. And at the heart of this entire mystery is a key piece of evidence, a word you gotta know, qualia. It's just a term for the raw subjective qualities of any experience. You know, the actual taste of chocolate on your tongue, the specific sound of a violin, the vibrant redness of a sunset. It's the what it's likeness of being you. So, how do we prove that these qualia are something separate from just physical facts? Well, there's a really famous thought experiment that gets right to the heart of it. Let's step inside Mary's room. So picture this. Mary is a super genius. She knows every single physical fact there is to know about how our eyes and brains process the color red. But she's lived her whole life in a purely black and white world. One day, she walks outside and sees a red apple. The big question is, does she learn anything new? And the gut reaction for most people is, of course she does. She learns what it's like to actually see red. And if that's true, it means her complete physical knowledge was missing something crucial, the qualia itself. And that gap, the one Mary's story so brilliantly illustrates, that is the core of the hard problem. It's this massive chasm between a third-person objective description of a brain doing its thing and our own first-person subjective reality. So, if the problem is this deep, who are the main suspects in our investigation? Well, when you look at the research, there are a few major theories, and each one tells a completely different story about what consciousness might be. You can basically break them down into three main camps. First, you have the physicalists, who are convinced the answer is purely in the brain's biology and physics. Then you've got the fundamentalists, who think consciousness is baked into the fabric of the universe itself. And finally, you have the illusionists, who argue the whole hard problem is a trick our brains are playing on us. Now, if we zoom in on the physicalists, you see a few different flavors. You've got identity theory, which says the feeling of pain just is a certain set of neurons firing. Then there's functionalism, which says it's not the neurons, but what they do that matters. And there's a really interesting one called integrated information theory, which tries to calculate consciousness, suggesting any system with enough interconnected information could have it. Okay, but what about the fundamentalists? Well, their most well-known and maybe most mind-bending idea is called panpsychism. This theory suggests that consciousness isn't something that just pops up in complex brains. Instead, it's a basic property of all matter. Yeah, that means in some very, very simple way, an electron or a photon or even a rock might have some tiny spark of inner experience. Wild, right? Okay, let's put the high-level theories on hold for a second. What about the actual detective work? What has neuroscience found by looking for clues inside the brain itself? Well, scientists are amazing at finding what they call the neural correlates of consciousness, or NCCs. Basically, using tools like fMRI scanners, they can see exactly which bits of your brain light up when you experience something. They can map the brain activity that corresponds to seeing red or feeling a pang of regret. But here is the massive catch, and this is probably the most important point of all. Finding a correlation is not the same thing as finding a cause or an explanation. We know which neurons fire, but we have absolutely no clue why that specific pattern of firing feels like the color red and not the sound of a C# or the smell of coffee. And right there, that's the hard problem popping its head up again, right in the middle of the lab. It's not just some armchair philosophical puzzle. Even with our most powerful technology, the core mystery just refuses to go away. We found the footprints at the crime scene for sure, but we still have no idea who made them or how.
So all of this brings us right up to today. The case file on consciousness is thicker than ever, but the central mystery is still wide open. And honestly, the potential paths forward are leading researchers into some really strange and fascinating territory.
I mean, just think about it. What if we finally build an AI that says it's conscious? Would we believe it? What if the illusionists are right, and this rich inner life is just a clever trick our brain uses to manage itself? Or what if the answer isn't in biology at all, but in the weirdness of quantum mechanics, or the idea that the universe itself has a kind of consciousness field? And that really leaves us with the ultimate question. Is consciousness a problem that science will eventually solve, like cracking the genetic code? Or is it something more like gravity, a fundamental feature of reality that we can describe, that we can use, but that we may never be able to truly explain why it's there in the first place? For now, the case remains unsolved.